Alright guys, welcome back. We are getting there. I have gotten one of the pods put in. You can see here. It was not a ton of fun. I still have one more to go, so I wanted to basically do one before I showed how to do it so I could speak with a little bit of experience, but we're getting there. So kind of as a sneak peek as we get started here. It's missing the cover there, but this is what we're going to look like. It's pretty dark. We still have to actually paint up the housing itself there yet, but these babies are going to be pretty dark. But that doesn't matter as far as actual light content because the reflector does nothing now. So these ought to look pretty sweet once they're done. Pretty black. It's going to match the truck pretty well, as well as on the bumper lights too. Okay guys, so I'm waiting on a few things left for the main headlights, but these ones are ready to go back together. So all I did was paint them on the inside, and that's all they're gonna do, so they're much darker. So to get ready to paint, I've got my oven preheated at 260 degrees, and I've ran a little strip of resealing glue. This is the same kind of OEM butyl glue that goes on the inside here. So I ran it kind of, let me get it opened up here. So it comes pretty thick, but as you stretch it out, it gets a lot thinner. You don't really need very much of it. So I just ran a real thin layer on the inside groove just to help to make sure I've got enough insurance there to make sure this is gonna seal. And then I went ahead and put this down inside the groove as far as I could get it while the glue is still not real thin and easy to move with. So got this as close as I can, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven for 7 minutes at 260 degrees. To get it nice and tacky, and then I'm going to put the gloves on, pull it out, and just squeeze this together as far as I possibly can. Kind of get it seated how I want to. Put it in for a few more minutes, just to make sure it's nice and gooey, and squeeze it again. And at that point, we'll be ready to go. All right, guys. So round one, glue should be quite a bit tackier. Yep, and it's just kind of seating right in there. I want to see kind of bubbling out. Gonna go around and squeeze it together as well as we possibly can so you're comfortable and you know that it's seated. You can see the little clips on it on the sides here. We're gonna try to get those seated back down where they were to begin with. This guy's seated back down in the spot. That's good. So is this one. That's good. Same thing here. Make sure we're all the way in. Looks like we're doing really good. Looks like we got it we're right where we want it to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in just for another minute or two, just to kind of make sure that everything's right where I want it. We'll come back through, squeeze it again, just to make sure, and then we'll let it cool down. So go ahead and just basically, once you pull it out of the oven, go ahead and just squeeze it together as well as you can to get it to seat. And this is seating actually as good as I could have hoped it for. Basically, we got it back in its little clips here, front and rear, or top and bottom. The sides look like they're squeezed together. Quite a bit of extra glue sticking out the sides, which is okay. All that's covered up. I'm really happy with this, guys. Turned out as absolutely perfect as I could. It's not going in any farther, so it tells me that we're seated all the way against the back. Okay, so round two, this is the first round here. Just put it in the oven here for 5-6 minutes. Just gonna squeeze it together as well as we can. It's going back in place really well. Looks really nice. So again, these are going back together about as well as I could hope for them to. Looks like we're back clipped in place along the top and bottom clips again. Looks nice. I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in the oven for a few more minutes. Make sure the glue is real good and tacky and movable. And then we'll squeeze it together one more time just to make sure that everything's back in place. Okay, here's round 2 of the second light. So it's already kind of been seated. We just put it back in the oven here for a few more minutes. Just make sure it's real good and hot. Just make sure it's all the way down in until you cannot press it any farther. Basically, you're just smashing almost plastic on plastic. And it's basically say it was pretty much already there already. This is just kind of a double check. Make sure that you're happy with it. You can see the bead squished out all the way along there to know that it's actually going to seal. And I think we're there, guys. So that's all there is to this. It's not actually rocket science, to put these back together. The biggest thing is, if you're whatsoever concerned about it, put a little bit more, just to string out just a little bit more of that butyl in there with it to make sure, it's kind of just added cheap insurance. I think that roll was $10. Just to make sure that you have enough sealing glue there to make sure this thing is not going to leak, because that is the worst thing that'll happen. Because these look awesome, you get the whole set done, and then you go out and it just leaks. As soon as it rains, it gets a little bit of condensation in there, whatever, and it leaks. And that means the whole thing's got to come back apart, do it all again. So that's what we're not going for. But here are 2 lights. I need to get these things cleaned up a little bit yet. But these will be ready to put back in the truck. Okay guys, so here's the bumper lights in the truck. They've been in the truck now for 2 days, showing absolutely no sign of condensation or anything, so that's amazing. Pretty happy with them. They seem to have sealed up perfectly. So I'm running a 194 LED over here, and then still a halogen 3157 here. I want to swap that out for a switchback so that it can run, bright white for, running lights, and then it'll switch to amber for the actual blinker. But as of now, that's how they sit. So they actually still put out a decent amount of light. Still very visible. I was a little bit concerned as far as what they would look like with not having, a reflection, with the reflector, not being chrome anymore now that they're painted. But they turned out really nice. They're extremely dark. Obviously, it looks very, very black there. So that's great. So as of now, they seem to be holding up really well. And so we just need to finish up the headlights themselves, and we'll be ready to rock. All right, guys, so we are getting really close to finishing up this build. I'm really excited to be done with it. Just get them in the truck and get them running. So I'm waiting on the correct LED cubes. I ordered a set that weren't exactly what I wanted, and I want to make sure that I do this right and make sure I do it all right the first time, So that's what I'm waiting on. That's what's taking so long right now. But hopefully I can do basically the rest of the install in one more video, and then do one last video of actually getting the wiring harness ran and all that kind of stuff. And then, the actual results show, hopefully they'll be pretty bright. I'm pretty excited to see what they do. As always, guys, if you like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out a lot. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. We are hopefully going to be going to the Byron Dragway for the Blackout Diesel event here next Saturday. So I'm pretty excited. I'm really hoping to have these headlights done before then, but I've got a pretty busy week coming up, so we'll see. I'm really hoping to get those done, but we'll see. But either way, we should have hopefully some pretty cool drag racing videos for you by the end of next week. So keep tuned, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.